Looking for a good book? World War II books are always very popular, and the Brown County Library has some that show a different angle on the war. Andrea Stepanek is here in the studio this morning to tell us about 4 titles that she picked, and they're from the young adult and children's sections, which I thought was interesting. Good morning to you.
Yeah, they are technically published for like middle schoolers and teens, but any adult would love to read them too. They're really great looks, a different look at World War II.
So is this kind of like taking off of The Book Thief? It was such a popular book made into a movie in the last year. Would somebody who liked The Book Thief maybe like these? Because I loved that.
Yeah, absolutely. These would be great for anyone who likes The Book Thief. And World War II is always a really popular historical fiction genre. So.
Well, let's start with the first one you picked, Rose Under Fire, this one here.
Yeah, I actually talked about this book's companion book, Codename Verity, on the news last year. This is by the same author. It only has one kind of minor recurring character, but it tells the story from an American perspective. Her name is Rose Justice, and she is an ATA pilot ferrying planes for the Allied forces. And when she is ferrying a plane from Paris back to England, she's actually captured in the air by the Germans. They kind of force her to land, and she's eventually sent to Ravensbrück, which is a kind of a notorious women's labor camp. So she's kind of telling the story of all of these prisoners that are at this labor camp, especially focusing on like the medical experimentation that was done especially on some Polish girls. Oh. So a really kind of interesting. It's not quite as much of a thriller as Codename Verity was, but still a really harrowing read.
All right, that's a good one. Little Red Lies is next by Julie Johnston.
Yeah, this is a really beautiful book. It actually takes place in the immediate aftermath of World War II in Canada. The main character is Rachel, and she's 13 years old, and as the book begins, her brother has just come back from World War II, and she's kind of, you know, she wants to be grown up, but she also wants her brother back and, you know, things to be exactly as they were before the war, and that's not quite working out. And her brother is also really struggling to kind of readjust because he's been kind of forced to grow up so quickly. And so shortly after he comes back, he's diagnosed with leukemia, so her whole family is really struggling, you know, like the excitement of him surviving the war, but then him being diagnosed with leukemia. So it's told from Rachel's perspective in the here and now, and then also from Jamie, her brother, perspective in letters that he wrote during the war, but he couldn't send to her because it was the worst things, you know, that he saw, and he just couldn't bear to send them.
A lot to talk about with that one. Next, we have Hero on a Bicycle.
Hero on a Bicycle is really fun. It actually takes place in 1944 Florence. It follows a little guy named Paolo. He's 13 years old, and his 16-year-old sister and his mother. And Paolo is so bored because there's a curfew, so he can't really go out late at night. School's out, it's the heat of summer, and his dad is gone because his dad might be part of the Italian resistance, but no one really knows for sure. So Paolo tries to get some excitement in his life by doing late night joy rides on his bicycle, and he thinks he's being so sneaky. Meanwhile, his whole family knows that he goes out, and they're all, you know, kind of scared to death that he'll come back, but, you know, they just have to let him go because he's just so antsy. And eventually he's kind of cornered by the Italian resistance, and his family is asked to house 2 prisoner of wars, like escaped Allied prisoner of war. And so, you know, it's still Nazi occupied Florence, so they're, you know, kind of dealing with that, you know, harrowing experience.
What age would you say for that?
This is published for middle schoolers. And so, you know, anything 5th through 8th grade or even higher. I mean, anyone could enjoy it.
I think I might like all of them so far. She also picked Dogs of War. We ran out of time to talk about Dogs of War, but it's on the list. And to find all these titles, visit the Brown County Library in person or go online. And we put a link on our website. Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.